it's Debra Poneman, founder of Yes to Success, where we offer knowledge and tools for you to live your ultimate life, ageless, anti-aging for your brain, body, and future, and effective communications, because clear communication is one of the most important tools you have for success in life. In our personal relationships, clear communication fosters greater intimacy. When we listen in a way that our partner feels heard, he or she will then also feel more loved, more honored, more appreciated, and more respected. When we listen to our children in a way that they feel heard, it helps bolster their self esteem. In our business relationships, listening not only prevents misunderstandings, but if you're multitasking or otherwise distracted while your partners or your associates or your employees are sharing, it can engender feelings of being disrespected and damage the relationship on a fundamental level. Being a great listener is really about listening to another in a way that you would like to be listened to yourself. So, here are a few tips, a few ways that allow people to feel like they're really being heard. First, it's good to face the person when they're talking to you. Even leaning in slightly forward is a very effective nonverbal way of saying, I'm listening. You have my full attention, as is eye contact, but don't overdo the eye contact thing. Too much can make people feel uncomfortable or even intimidated. I was actually once on a live on air interview. I think it was probably a news show. And the person interviewing me was making such intense eye contact that it was distracting. It made it super hard for me to keep my focus on what I was saying, but a little eye contact is really good. Other nonverbal indications that you really are listening include nodding your head or smiling, mirroring with your facial expressions their level of concern or happiness. If they're sharing something that they're really excited and animated about, a neutral expression is not the mirror that someone uh, feels like they're being heard. Or likewise, if they're telling you something that really was distressing to them, don't have a goofy grin on your face. Mirror their emotions. Now, this next point is probably self evident, but if someone says they need to talk to you and asks if you have time, if you say yes, then you want to put down your computer or your book or your tablet, turn off the TV, mute your phone, and if you forget and it rings, ignore it. When you do this, you're saying to the person you're with, I don't care who's trying to get in touch with me. They'll have to wait because you're the most important person in the world right now. You can also use verbal responses that show you're listening and that you're interested in what the other person is saying. Things like, wow, huh, that's so interesting, or that's so amazing. But don't do it too much, like every other sentence, or the speaker can lose their train of thought. You can nod, but don't interrupt with a wow too often. You can also ask questions like, what did you do next? Or how did you react? Or how did that make you feel? Being a great listener is not about thinking what you're going to say next. The speaker can feel, they can feel it if you're just wanting them to take a breath so that you can jump in. When the speaker is really done, and if you aren't sure if they're done, you can ask, do you have anything else that you want to add to that? A way they'll feel heard is if you paraphrase what they just said. So you can say something like, so what you're saying is you really didn't like living in North Carolina in the first place. You can also ask for clarification. Don't pretend you know what they're saying if you don't. You'll get caught later for sure if you're acting like you know what they're saying and you don't really. And then they ask you a question about it and you're like, well, and of course, if you want to give your opinion or advice, always ask first if they would like it. And don't give it unless the answer is yes. Do you want my opinion on that? This is especially important with your children who might have already developed a knee jerk reaction to you offering your advice and opinion. They immediately feel invalidated if you start telling them what you think. because you haven't asked for it for so many years before that there's this habit of like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I used to be the queen of giving my children unsolicited opinions. And when they started to just not share with me anymore, I realized that they just wanted to be heard. So I stopped giving my opinion without saying, do you want to know what I think, or did you just want me to listen? After that, when I started being very aware, no matter how much I wanted to give my opinion, very aware that I should not give it unsolicited. After that, both of them started coming to me more and more for my opinion. People even say to me, wow, it's amazing that your kids are always asking you what you think. And believe it or not, my mother used to use effective listening techniques when my brother and I were little, and that was well over a half a century ago. She learned these techniques in a child guidance class that she used to go to with my Aunt Flo and my Aunt Lila. And I remember like it was yesterday when I would come downstairs to talk to her while she was ironing and always ironing and watching TV. If I had something important to tell her, she would say, let me turn off the TV so I could give you my full attention. And that's amazing because this was long before you could record your shows. So she couldn't tape Ed Sullivan or Father Knows Best. She would even turn off the iron. I remember the iron, black handle, little red knob thing. Anyway, she would then physically come down to my eye level, or we'd sit down on the couch, and she'd listen completely, repeating what I said for verification with an appropriate expression on her face. I grew up feeling heard, validated, and thus very loved. When you think about it, it's really all about being in the present moment, which in itself is a powerful spiritual practice. So try, some people call this active listening. Try it with the people who you love and with whom you would like to have a closer and more fulfilling relationship, or with anyone, because everyone deserves our respect. And the way we can give it is by giving them our full attention. And now I want to share a powerful quote with you from Leo Escalia, who is one of my favorite gurus in the 80s, who lectured and wrote books about love. Here it is. He said, too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. I love that. And who knows? You might be the first person to ever deeply listen to someone, like ever. You do have the potential to not only change a life, but maybe even save a life. You never know. So I'll see you next week. And until then, I wish you deeply fulfilling times with those you love by listening. Bye for now.